From the All Indiana Podcast Network.
The All Indiana Podcast Network.
This is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now all the latest news.
Kylie Conway has all the news you need to know.
And more.
Please stand by.
Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Wednesday, August 25th. Another sweltering day across Indiana. High heat and humidity. Heat advisories will be in place from 2 to 8, with heat index values expected to reach 105 degrees. The Storm Track 8 team also notes that this August is on track to become the driest August on record for Indianapolis, which has only picked up 0.36 inches of rain. And for people who have to work or practice outdoors, the day's going to be brutal. The National Weather Service of Indianapolis is urging people to stay safe. Their advice is to stay hydrated, check on the elderly and people without AC, never leave kids or pets unattended in the car, of course, and limit strenuous activities outdoors. But a lot of children are still practicing fall sports in this heat. The number one thing school districts are pushing students to do is to stay hydrated. Athletic trainers say drink before you even feel thirsty. Start in the morning and continue all throughout the day to make sure that the kids don't get sick from the heat.
The biggest thing is those exertional heat illnesses. So heat exhaustion, heat stroke, heat cramps are all very real, and they can cause a lot of issues, especially in athletics.
Carl Palma is Beech Grove High School's head athletic trainer and says school districts plan ahead for extreme heat. Both Beech Grove and Hamilton Southeastern schools use the wet bulb globe temperature tool on hot days like this. It factors in heat index, wind, and sunlight to determine if it's safe for student athletes to practice outdoors. If the heat index reaches 100 to 104.9, they use extreme caution and ensure water breaks every 15 minutes with at least 5 to 10 minutes of rest, along with limiting the use of equipment. Any hotter than that, they do not practice outside. IPS says all of their coaches have taken heat illness training and stay cognizant of all athletes during practice and games. The Carl McClay School District says they've switched some practices to early morning hours to beat the heat and put out water intake recommendations for before, during, and after practices. For all of the districts, they say that safety is the most important.
Athlete safety is my job. It's my number one thing. And if we can add a few precautions or change a few things to make sure that we don't have to deal with the tragedies that some other schools and other families have had to deal with, those are things that I'm willing to do.
Beech Grove says they also keep a 150-gallon ice tub in a shaded area near practice to cool athletes off should there be an emergency in the heat. And today, the start of virtual learning for a Warren Township middle school. Stony Brook Intermediate will switch models. The change will last through Labor Day. According to the district, an increase in positive COVID-19 cases prompted the move. It does not affect any other schools within the district. And a new CDC study shows that the effectiveness of the COVID vaccine drops when up against the Delta variant. While that may be true, the CDC also says the vaccine still cut the risk of infection by 2/3. And COVID-19 hospitalizations in Indiana are at a level not seen since the end of January of this year. Almost 2,000 people are in Indiana hospitals with the virus. The state first saw its numbers start climbing last month. And the nation's leading group of doctors is renewing its push for vaccine mandates. The president of the American Medical Association says incentives are not enough to motivate people hesitant to get the shot. The AMA president says now is the time to require the vaccine in order to regain the upper hand in the fight against the virus. So these are his words. The simple fact is, unless a significant percentage of our population is vaccinated against COVID-19, we could be stuck fighting this virus for many more months or years to come. The AMA says physicians have advocated for the shot for months. And you do now have to show proof of vaccination or a negative test result to see the Jonas Brothers concert next month. The group has announced that it believes the move is the best thing it can do for fans, its crew, and communities. The Jonas Brothers tour stops in Noblesville on September 9th. And our I-Team 8 has learned that thousands of people want another investigation after the death of a northern Indiana little girl. More than 6,000 people have signed a petition calling for an investigation into the Indiana Department of Child Services for its involvement in the death of 11-month-old Mercedes Lane. It's all organized by Jen Anderson. Anderson says her niece's death about 6 years ago is similar to Lane's.
You have people who are following the right chain of command to try to save the babies, and it's not being taken seriously. It's sickening.
Anderson has also written a letter to Marshall County Prosecutor Nelson Chipman asking for an investigation into DCS. Chipman tells ITMate he does not plan to investigate because it's not his jurisdiction. Mercedes was found dead last week. Her babysitter, Justin Miller, is charged in the 11-month-old's death. He entered a not guilty plea yesterday. Her parents are also both charged. They're charged with neglect of a dependent. INDYGO gets the green light for another major project, this time the Purple Line. It's possible through $81 million from the U.S. Department of Transportation. News 8's Demi Johnson explains where the money will go.
There were certainly several bumps in the road when it came to construction of the Red Line. Then came the ridership issues. INDYGO's Director of Communications, Carrie Black, says while she can't predict exactly how this project will go, she feels they're better prepared. It's a connection INDYGO couldn't pass up.
In Indy's most densely populated area, an area that has a high percentage of low-income families and many families who do not have a car.
Director of Communications Carrie Black says the Purple Line will not only allow people to go from Indianapolis to Lawrence, but will also bring major upgrades to an underserved area.
We're talking about 9.5 miles of sidewalks in communities where people don't even have sidewalks.
The Purple Line includes 9.9 miles of new bus lanes, 18 new stations, and 15 new electric buses. INDYGO expects to hire 1,800 new people to help with construction, but Black knows that part will require patience.
It will be a slow process. There will be some growing pains, but we believe the benefits are going to pay off huge in the end.
Riders say they're ready and hope for even more public transportation in the future.
Got to do what they got to do to improve things around here.
I say like in Carmel, a bunch of shit go out there too. You know what I mean? Carmel, Brownsburg, Avon, stuff like that.
Black says that's the goal, giving people more options where they currently don't have many.
This means that folks who live along the Purple Line are going to more easily be able to get to work, get to schools, get to healthcare facilities, get to recreational venues. So it's what we're all about. It's connecting people to opportunities.
INDYGO plans to hold public meetings in January to discuss a construction timeline, and work on the Purple Line could begin as soon as February. Construction on a third route, the Blue Line, is planned to start in 2023. That will connect Cumberland to the Indianapolis International Airport. Reporting in Indianapolis, Demi Johnson, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
We are currently on a pace to finish by August the 31st. The sooner we can finish, the better.
We are less than a week away from President Biden's deadline to evacuate all U.S. troops from Afghanistan. He says he will stick to that August 31st deadline, though other world leaders are pressuring him to change it. Allies on an emergency virtual G7 meeting yesterday urged Biden to allow troops to stay longer to keep evacuating people. The Taliban has threatened consequences if U.S. troops don't leave on time, calling the date a red line. Indiana Congressman Jim Banks says it's on the president if something goes wrong.
Is harmed, injured, or killed and not safely evacuated out of Afghanistan, or if any of these weapons or this military equipment is used to harm, injure, or kill an American now or at any time in the future, the blood is on Joe Biden's hands.
The White House's most recent update says the military evacuated 12,700 on Monday, the largest single-day number so far. And President Biden's agenda takes a big step forward. His $3.5 trillion budget plan passed a key vote in the House yesterday, getting support from some Democrats who had balked at the issue. They relented after leaders agreed to put on the calendar a $1 trillion infrastructure bill that the Senate has already passed. Infrastructure is now set for a vote by September 27th. The budget vote yesterday is a vital first step toward debate that will likely start in October. And the vice president's tour of Southeast Asia is back on track after a mysterious illness caused a delay. The U.S. Embassy in Hanoi announced the possible health incident in the way government typically refers to Havana syndrome. It has sickened hundreds of U.S. officials over the past few years. The illness is known to cause sensory and physical issues. The embassy said after careful assessment, VP Kamala Harris continued on to Vietnam for the last leg of her trip. And the House has passed voting legislation named after the late civil rights leader and Congressman John Lewis The bill aims to restore part of the 1965 Voting Rights Act to let the Justice Department assess voting rights in jurisdictions with a history of voter discrimination. Yesterday's 219 to 212 vote sends the bill to the Senate, where passage is much less likely. Most Republicans oppose it. GOP leaders have called it a power grab by Democrats. Alaska's Lisa Murkowski is the only Senate Republican on record as supporting the bill. And today there's a job fair to join the Marion County Sheriff's Office. The office says it's looking to fill more than 100 positions. It needs deputies, detention deputies, and 911 dispatchers. You can apply at the nonprofit Southeast Neighborhood Development on Southeastern Avenue. The event goes from 10 to 2. Eskenazi Health says its system is back open and operating after a cyber attack. The network says hackers stole data on August 4th and then posted it online. Hospital officials say they're trying to figure out if the files included patient or employee data and will notify anyone affected. So far, its investigation shows no evidence of any bank or credit card fraud. In Colts Watch, the end of training camp is in sight. This morning, the team's looking to the regular season. Players we spoke to are feeling optimistic with the return of 3 starters ahead of schedule. Quarterback Carson Wentz, left guard Quentin Nelson, and center Ryan Kelly. All were out with injuries starting week 1 of camp. Wentz felt a twinge in his foot and needed a surgery. Nelson underwent the same surgery a day later. Then Kelly hyperextended his elbow. And it all happened as head coach Frank Reich was in quarantine after testing positive for COVID-19. Now, Game 1 is in 3 weeks. Season opener, September 12th at home against the Seattle Seahawks. So this is what some of his teammates, Carson Wentz's teammates, had to say. And then Wentz himself explains that he's going to require some catch-up.
It was weird. It was like Quentin went down, then Carson went down, and I was like, well, it's kind of a storm right now. But here we are, man. We're back at it, and we're rolling.
Oh, man, we're getting back to full strength. Seeing Ryan, Carson, and Quentin out, it gives you some optimism.
I mean, it's going to have to be. I'd love to get as many reps as I could out here. I would have loved to have, more off-season workout, more OTAs, all of that. But it's a hand that I've been dealt, and unfortunately I've been here before with limited reps and had to go play. And so I still feel confident with that timeline and everything.
The Colts practice today, travel tomorrow, and knock out their final preseason game against the Lions in Detroit on Friday. Practice is not open to the public today, but you can guarantee that our sports team will be there. We'll have you covered this evening on News 8. If you're interested in single game tickets for September 12th, those start around $90. And it certainly doesn't feel much like football weather out there, but we are already at week 2 of high school football. This Friday, Lafayette Jeff travels to Lawrence Central for our game of the week. You can watch every minute live on our sister station, MyIndy TV 23. The action starts at 7 o'clock. Okay, so if the averages hold, the first snowfall is less than 3 months away. Very hard to believe given what we're dealing with this week. It is time for round 2 now of voting for the names of 4 new trucks in the DPW fleet. The agency says it got 588 responses in round 1, narrowing the choices down to 10. And there are some pretty good puns here. I'll run them down for you. Reggie Chiller, Eli Chili, Larry Bird, Peyton Melting, Snowy Kanan, Will Plower, and Salt in Our Stars. Of course, the Fault in Our Stars reference the John Green book. So now you can vote on your favorite through September 3rd. DPW plans to unveil the final names in the fall. And finally, to business headlines. The federal government has declared the first ever shortage of water on the Colorado River. This is triggering cutbacks in several states that will hit farmers particularly hard during a drought that has punished the Southwest. The cuts set to take effect in 2022 will primarily affect Arizona. UPS says it will require employees in certain U.S. locations to be vaccinated when they return to the office. The decision comes after the FDA granted full approval to the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, a move that's expected to spur a string of similar mandates from corporate employers. The FAA has opened a new Boeing safety review after employees warned about conflicts of interest. The Washington Post reports there are fresh concerns that Boeing employees doing safety work on behalf of the government face pressure to serve the company's interests rather than those of the public. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, and Apple CEO Tim Cook are among the tech executives who've been invited to participate in a White House cybersecurity meeting today. Cyber attacks and ransomware incidents have escalated significantly in the past year, creating new incentives for U.S. government and corporate interests to work together. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
Check out more podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.
allindianapodcastnetwork.com.